Hey everyone, I don't have a ton of time, so I just wanted to go in and show you guys a new, really fun and actually kind of overpowered solar build here on my Warlock. I kind of conjured this up while playing Trials of Osiris, watching some other people run certain things, and with the build that I have been using now for a little bit, I think it pairs really well with a few exotics that I think you're all going to really enjoy and really have a good time using here in PvP. So, first things first, let's look over our subclass. So Daybreak is very interchangeable with Well of Radiance. It really depends on what you're playing or what you're feeling. I like Daybreak more than Well of Radiance. I just think it's more fun, so that's why I use Daybreak. But if you want to use Well by all means. Very based on personal preference. Though it does kind of change one fragment depending on which one you're going to use, and I'll talk about that when we get to the fragment segment. So stay tuned for that. For your abilities, this is very I want to say it's very user dependent because it really doesn't matter which one of these you're going to run. If you especially if you have classy restoration. With classy restoration, you can get a ton of great things. So you can get the healing from the healing nade or healing rift while using either empowering or phoenix dive. You're going to get a better cure and a better restoration. So really good there. But again, I think that Healing Rift is definitely the best overall, just for team play. Realistically, throwing a Rift down, people are gonna want to sit more in a Healing Rift more than an Empowering Rift. So, if you're playing more solo or split off from your team, I'd run Empowering Rift probably, but really doesn't matter. I think Healing is definitely better though. Jump, Burst Glide's the fastest. Need I say more? Use Burst Glide. It's way better. Melee, Celestial Fire just got a buff. It now does Scorched. It doesn't say it does, but in the TWAB they said they're gonna add Scorched to Celestial Fire, and I think they did. And I don't. Even if they didn't, I don't care. This build doesn't. It doesn't really matter if this thing does Scorch or not. Though I'm pretty sure it does. So really good. It's also way better than Incinerator Snap because it can hit way more often, and we'll talk about why that's important in a second when we get to the fragments yet again. So there is that. So Celestial Fire, way better than Incinerator. Incinerator you can barely hit sometimes. So run Celestial Fire. These nades are very interchangeable. I like solar grenades if I'm trying to do damage. If I'm playing for my life more so, I would run healing grenades. Doesn't really matter whichever one of these you want to run because Touch of Flame will boost up both. So when I run solar grenades, it's going to last longer and it's going to have a bigger radius because it shoots out globs of lava. So that's why that is really good with this. And with healing grenades, it improves the strength of the cure and restoration effects when you use the healing grenades. So that's all really fun there. So that's why I would use those mixed with the Touch of Flame aspect. Talking about our other aspect really quickly, Icarus Dash, pretty much a given, I think. The dodge is really good, and I don't think these two pair like extremely well together compared to Icarus Dash and literally everything else. Icarus Dash, you can have increased speed, you can have the maneuverability, you can have the dodges, just so good. You're gonna want Icarus Dash 9 out of 10 times. So pick Icarus Dash, mixes really well with Touch of Flame. You're not gonna have a bad time there. But now we get to the fragments. This is really the core of the build. This is what makes it why it's so good, at least in my opinion. So the first one, this is the one that I was talking about, is more interchangeable depending on what super. Because if you're running well, this does nothing for you but give you plus 10 to intellect. And seeing as it's a tier, I think it's a tier 5. So you're already getting a really quick super anyway when you use Well of Radiance. Like look at that, like damn near 7 seconds versus like 10 and a half. Like that's way faster. So you really don't need this. If I was running well, I would probably run Singeing and or Char. It really just depends on why. I think that Char is not like the actual ability it gives you does not really work as well in PvP, but the plus 10 to discipline is really nice. So that's why I would recommend running that just for the discipline boost. But Ember Singeing is also really good because you can get classy restoration back quicker when you defeat scorched targets, whether that's from your melee or your nade. So really good there. And I'm only changing those off of if Well of Radiance. If I felt better with actually throwing my swords, I would use one of those two as well. But as of now, I just like beams. It makes it easier to hit your swords. So That's really why. But these three are very. I don't even think you should switch off of these. They're insane, especially with this build. So let's get right on into why I picked these three. First one, Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and your nearby allies radiant. So normally when it says combatants, that means it does not work in PvP. But for this in particular, it actually does count. So anytime I hit somebody with my Celestial Fire, I'm getting Radiant. Radiant is a 10% damage boost to my weapons. So you can already kind of see where I'm going with when pairing it with things like Monte Carlo. Like, I'm going to get a 10% damage boost just from hitting you with my melee. And when I pair it with Ember of Searing, when I kill the person I just meleeed, I'm going to get some of that melee energy back. That also plays into Monte Carlo, which we'll again get into in a second. And lastly, Ember of Solace, which makes our Radiant effects have a longer duration. I think it's like I don't know how big it is. I want to say it goes from like 7 seconds to like 11 or something like that. Like, it's a pretty decent boot, or it's a pretty decent jump. So these all three paired together are really nice because I throw the melee, get a 10% boost, kill that person, I'm gonna get increased duration, and I'm gonna start getting that melee energy back. So you can pretty much have infinite melees with this build, and that is really gross. So now that really concludes with the actual like fragments and aspects section. But why am I pairing it with Monte Carlo? So the reason why I'm pairing it with Monte Carlo is because this whole gun is based off of melee damage. So as you can read, Monte Carlo method, dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. Meaning, I can throw my melee at you and then clean you. Not only am I gonna get melee energy from you being scorched and me killing you from my aspect and my fragments, but I'm going to get increased melee energy from the gun itself with a chance to get the full melee back, meaning I can chain Radiant over and over and over and over again, which is insane. And pairing it with Markov Chain, this weapon grants increased damage from melee kills and kills with this weapon. Melee kills grant ammo for this weapon. That part doesn't matter. But what really matters is this thing basically has Swashbuckler on it. Meaning, if I pull up on you, get you weak with the Markov Chain or with this, and then kill you with the melee, not only am I getting ×5 of Markov Chain, but I'm gonna get part of my melee back and the Radiant boost, which is Markov Chain ×5 plus a 10% damage boost. You can see how much damage this thing's gonna do. Like, it's crazy. That's why I really like pairing it with things like Monte Carlo. But really, realistically, any kind of swashbuckler gun works with this. Like, any. It's insane. If you run like Sturm Drang with the crafted Drang, I might have it on me. I don't, but anyway, if you run that with ×5 swash, you can clean people up really, really quickly with the Drang, and then switch to Sturm. You're gonna have 10% radiance plus Sturm overcharge. I don't think you can one tap, but you have a lot more forgiveness with that versus not having the swash perk. So there's a lot of different guns as well that you can pair with this, but I think for now Monte Carlo is the best. And we know, I think at least, that Monte Carlo is going to have a catalyst. I think it was data mined a long time ago. I don't know exactly what it could do besides maybe making it so like every kill is increased, like you get a more increase to your melee cooldown. But realistically, I would just want a range stat boost and some other stuff. But this thing will pair really, really nice with it. And as for actual exotic armor, there's a lot of other things that you can run with this as well. Fitting aspects. I actually don't have a good pair. I'm still trying to get a pair, so I just grabbed the collections one, which is really terrible, so do not use that, but that's just what I have. Anyway, this increases your weapon's reload speed and everything like that really, really quickly, and it makes that melee range extended, meaning I have more range using that Celestial Fire. It also provides some in-air accuracy benefits, which, I mean, with Monte Carlo isn't like that necessary, but I mean, it's not that bad at the same time. You really can't go wrong with it. So these pair together extremely good. And there's also other things that you can run as well, like Winter's Guile I could see being used somewhat. So if I kill somebody with the melee, I'm gonna get an increased melee damage, so when I get to the next person that I need to melee for either ×5 Markov Chain or for Radiant, I'm gonna have increased damage on it, making it easier to kill that person. So Winter's Guile is definitely not a terrible option, though I wouldn't pick it over something like Karnstein's, for instance. So talking about Karnstein's, if I kill you with that melee, I'm gonna get health regen, and that is disgusting in and itself. So I can kill you with the melee. That's giving me health regen, Markov times 5, and Radiant if I have the boost. That is insane. That is so crazy if to think about, like how much benefit you could get off of one melee kill with Karnstein's installed like on. That's insane as well. Another glove really quickly is necrotic grips. So melees, not only are you going to make people burn from the scorching, but you're also going to make them poisoned as well. And if you kill that poison guy, it spreads poison to everyone near them, making it easier to get cleanups. I don't know if the poison counts as a melee kill. I doubt it, but assuming it did, that would be insane. So necrotics would also pair extremely well with this as well. Talking more about the Scorch stuff, if you're going for more Scorch stuff, like you can run other exotics like Starfire Protocol and Fusion Nades, because Fusion Nades cause Scorch. I can have 2 of those at a time. That's crazy. And dealing damage while in a rift, like let's say I'm sitting in a healing rift or something like that. As long as I have a as long as I have a damage booster, so the Radiant would even count, I'm gonna get my rift back even quicker. And not only that, I'm gonna get their nades to come back even quicker because I'm sitting in the rift. It's like it's insane. Like the nades are just gonna keep on coming. So that is insane right there. I think that is really good. And just to top it all off, like a little cherry on top, classy restoration. Just because every single time I pop a rift, I'm going to get restoration and already healing from that. Just makes it a lot faster so you can get into gunfights a lot quicker. I would say that stats that are important, I'm going to switch on my normal PvP stuff just for reference. I have 5 strength, so I'm getting it back, or I should be getting it back like every 1 minute. But with these two, with the Scorching Fragment plus Monte Carlo, you're getting it back way faster than a minute. Like it's insane. But that's really all I have for today's build video. I think you guys should really give this a try because it is a lot of fun. And again, I just kind of thought this up last night while playing Trials, but I do think that this is really destructive. And I think that with the right gear, you could become an absolute menace in the Crucible. But that's really all I have for today, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and subscription. It really helps the channel grow. And maybe let me know what you guys thought of the build here in the comments. Did you try it? Was it good? Was it bad? Let me know your thoughts. But that's it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.